to my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 120 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right, my name is Anthony Walker here to bring you another installment of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you guys are well, hope you guys enjoyed the wrestling this week, and also hope you guys enjoyed some new stuff that came this week as well. That's right, third installment of WCPW podcast. Also, hope you guys enjoyed the new podcast that I've just created as well for CWC, Cruiserweight Classic this week. I watched it this week. The first installment of this episode of this new series is on the Wrestling Matters channel, AJW Wrestling Matters, and SoundCloud, and you can download them for free too. Yeah, interesting week, and we're going to talk this week. We're going to talk Raw. We're going to talk SmackDown. We're going to talk NXT. We're going to talk Ring of Honor. We're going to talk ICW and something from What Culture this week, because I refuse to even mention TNA, quite frankly, after what I've seen this week, especially involving the final deletion. And like Kenny Killer once said last week, I think it's time I erased, and he was erasing it, and I think it's time we all erase that from our wrestling minds, ladies and gentlemen, because as far as I'm concerned, that never happened. Anyway, very interesting week. I will mention something about TNA because I did watch this past week, and it seems that they may get a new wrestler. More on that in a second, though. I've got to do some promotions. Like I say, guys, for more information on where you can listen to this podcast, go to soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast, and you can download them for free, and also follow me on there as well to keep up with every episode you get. There's a playlist there as well to check it out. Also, you can check out and subscribe to the Wrestling Matters channel for the CWC episodes as well as the WCPW episodes, both exclusive to the Wrestling Matters channel and SoundCloud, where you can download them for free. Also, check out the Wrestling Matters podcast on maybe Mixcloud, Spreaker.com, also AJW Wrestling Matters, and the SoundCloud as well, where you can also download it for free. Maybe my website, but I've come up with an idea for my website, so I'll get back to them on another date. Also, you can also find the Wrestling Matters podcast on the Swerve Network. That's right, on the Swerve Network. Daddy Dangerously and Craig Phoenix for Max Wrestling, Kenny and Shugs for Sunday Segway, James and Co, James Belmont for Offshoot Radio, and the one and only Evan McCabe for his podcast as well. So be sure to check all of that good stuff out, and check it out only on the Swerve Talk Network as well. And also check out the Swerve Talk Network's Facebook page while you're at it as well. Also, guys, I've had a little bit of a miscommunication in terms of promotion for Mystery Island. Facebook.com/Back to the Island for more information on upcoming Mystery Island news. Also, hope you guys enjoyed D'Lo Brown on July 14th. I've been promoting a bit for Mystery Island on August 11th. I think it's changed because I swear it was August 11th, but I think it's changed now. It is now August 4th. 56 to 58 Oxton Road, August 4th, Monster on the Island. Get yourself over there. In Birkenhead, Liverpool, Merseyside, whatever they call that place. You know, get yourself over there and meet the monster. That's right, meet the monster himself, because he invades Mystery Island. It's a huge coup for Mystery Island in general, quite frankly. Get yourself over there. 56 to 58 rather, Oxton Road. Get yourself over there. Impact Star and Decay's proud member, Abyss. Get yourself over there August 4th. Also, guys, I want to bring up as well, August 15th, about 4 days before my birthday, 56 to 58 Oxton Road as well. For more information, go to facebook.com/Back to the Island. Former Progress Wrestling champion Will Ospreay will be here at Mystery Island as well. Get yourself over there. You're in the area. If you can't make the Abyss one, get yourself over to the Will Ospreay one. August 15th is what as well for that one. And I hope you guys enjoyed on July 14th. I hope you guys enjoyed the Mystery Islands visit from D'Lo Brown as well. Man, hope you guys enjoyed that as well, because like I said to you last time, D'Lo Brown is awesome. There's no question about that. Now, guys, while we get that sorted out, let's talk about a few things, right? Everything's sorted now. Let's talk about a few things. I happened to stop by TNA this week. I won't be talking about them in this podcast because, like I said, I'm trying to get rid of that final deletion match and Matt Hardy in general. Jesus Christ. The whole thing is just a joke, quite frankly, now. But I did stop by TNA this week to look at what was going on, and Moose was on TNA. That's right, Ring of Honor star Moose, the guy who's been rumored to be on WWE, or be hanging around WWE. He has been lurking around TNA as well. He came on TNA this week. I don't know if he signed. I haven't got word or read any news that he signed for TNA, and if he has, why has he signed for them? Because trust me, they're on the verge of going out of business from what I'm hearing. But he was lurking around TNA this week. He destroyed Eddie Edwards, and quite frankly, manhandled Bobby Lashley. Jesus Christ. He absolutely destroyed him, which was unbelievable in its own right as well. So be sure to look into that. If you haven't seen it, go and find it as well. Just check it out. Also, a little quick promotion as well for ICW on their network is a one-on-one shoot interview with Mr. Anderson. Go and check it out. He just tells it like it is, basically. He shoots. So if you're interested in seeing that, get yourself over to the ICW On Demand service, subscribe, and you can get to see that episode and that show as well on there for the price they charge. Also, 100% Shenanigans is on there from December 1st, 2013. The full show is on there. Get yourself over there as well. Now, just checking on a few things. Oh, God. I don't like what I've just saw here from NoDQ.com. As noted, the WWE draft takes place Tuesday night, live episode, yada, yada, yada. No names have been confirmed, but WWE had plans to split up the New Day. So, that is one team in company had in mind. Oh, God. So, we may see the end of the New Day from what I'm reading here, so this is just ridiculous in its own right. And I saw something this week as well, which quite frankly is a pain in my ass, quite frankly. Oh yeah, big shout out to Brock Lesnar as well. I saw his slow, methodical dissection of Mark Hunt last week at the UFC, and hey, he's back. Next up, Randy Orton on that one. Whether he will do it or not, like he said, one step at a time. But yeah, I'll give you the TNA results of what happened this past week. I won't talk about them in general, but I'll give you what happened. DJZ won a ladder match to determine the number one contender for the X Division Championship. EC3 cut a backstage promo telling Drew Galloway tonight they fight. Mackenzie Smith is backstage with Dixie Carter, you know, the Bound for Glory playoff and whatever. Eddie Edwards and Lashley are in the ring promo. Eddie tells it was going to be this Eddie, and then Lashley attacks him. Abyss, Crazy Steve are backstage, and Steve is freaking out over Rosemary. Cinematic videos over the final deletion. I'm not even going to go there. Brian beats Abyss in Monsters Ball after Rosemary came out and distracts Decay. I think there's some dissension in Decay. Sienna, I hope I said that right, defeated Kim, Jade, and Marty in a fatal four-way match to retain the Knockouts title. Match set up between Mike Bennett and DJZ for the X Division title. DJZ defeats Mike Bennett after the whole X Division roster came out to prevent Bennett from leaving. Match is broken. Matt Hardy introduced Brother Nero. He said the determined end of that. I'm even going to go read the rest of that, quite frankly. Galloway versus EC3. EC3 and Galloway fight all the way backstage, where they get broken up by multiple wrestlers. James Storm, Jeff Hardy included, yada, yada, yada. James Storm, EC3, Matt and Jeff, Galloway, Eli Drake, and two other names are announced for the Bound for Glory playoffs. Eddie Edwards versus Lashley ends in a no contest once Bennett comes out and punches out the ref. Edwards tries beating him up, but then Moose music plays and he debuts allying with Mike Bennett and taking out Bennett and Lashley. Yeah, which is supposed to be Eddie Edwards and Lashley, quite frankly, I guess. But it is what it is at the end of the day. That's what happened in TNA. Now, guys, I'm going to end this part here. Hope you guys enjoyed the first part there. I've got a few things on Roman Reigns, which I'll get to in a second. I'll get to in the Raw review. I'll be back right after this quick time out with the Raw review itself. So stay tuned. I'll be back right after this.
If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 2 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed part 1, and now it's time for the Raw review. That's right. In an episode where it was announced by Mr. McMahon that Stephanie will be commissioner of Raw and Shane will be commissioner of SmackDown. Interesting. I'll get to that in a second, though. What happened on Raw was the following. Kicked off with a battle royal with a very odd outcome. A battle royal to determine the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship heading into Battleground, and Miz will be defending the championship at Battleground against Darren Young. Yes, you heard me correct. Darren Young. I'll get to that in a second. Sheamus defeats Zack Ryder. Breezango get a huge victory over the Lucha Dragons. WWE Champion Dean Ambrose interrupted by the Rollins report, and it has been announced that this coming week, tonight, it's going to be Dean Ambrose one-on-one with Seth Rollins for the WWE title when it goes into Battleground as champion. Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. Kevin Owens wins against Cesaro. Titus beats Heath Slater. WWE Tag Team Champions visit the Wyatt family and go to war with them in a brutal fight, which the Wyatt family came out on top most of the time, but both teams stood tall. Enzo and Cass beat Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson via disqualification. Sasha Banks beats Dana Brooke, and McMahon reveals who the commissioners were for Raw and SmackDown. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'll get to the Darren Young bit. Darren Young winning the Battle Royal to become Intercontinental Champion, number 1 contender for that title, quite frankly, is a complete joke, if I'm being honest. I mean, this guy never even had a match on Raw. This was his first match, this Battle Royal. And I don't think he even did anything, quite frankly. And he becomes the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I truly hope Miz retains. Because I'm not convinced of Darren Young yet. But if Darren wins the Intercontinental Championship, in my opinion, I think the Intercontinental Championship will be a joke, quite frankly. And that's a shame. Because he's never done anything. I mean, all you've seen with Darren Young is these vignettes that he's been doing with fucking Bob Backlund about how to get better in this. The whole thing to me just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. As far as McMahon revealing who the commissioners were, Raw will have Stephanie, SmackDown will have Shane McMahon. There was a poll on WWE.com who would be the better commissioner, and Shane won it hands down. I guess I'll be watching SmackDown then, because what should have happened was Stephanie should have ran SmackDown. Shane should have stayed on Raw, in my opinion. I don't get the whole thing, but out of the two brands, Raw and SmackDown, if there's anything that needs a good swift kick in the ass, it's SmackDown. That's for damn sure. I don't know what the hell's going to happen with the whole layout of the shows. I mean, as we know right now, Raw's a 3-hour show. SmackDown has been rumored to be going 3 hours, but at the moment right now it's a 2-hour show. Both shows need to be 2 hours, in my opinion. If one's 3 hours and the other one's 2 hours, then it's a clusterfuck, quite frankly. I don't think both of them being at 3 hours will work. I hope I'm wrong. Please make me eat my words. But I think both shows need to stay 2 hours. Need to go back to the 2-hour show. That's just my opinion on that. Okay, both shows need to go back to 2 hours. SmackDown's already there, but Raw, so it should be interesting. At the end of the day, July 19th is going to be huge day for the WWE. No question about it, because we'll find out who's what and where, and I will review that show next week on the podcast. That is for damn sure. And if I don't do it next week on the podcast, I might do it during the week. Actually, I haven't decided yet, so look out for that on the Wrestling Matters channel and SoundCloud as well, where you can listen to it on the Wrestling Matters channel, and hell, you can listen to all podcasts of mine on SoundCloud as well, but you can also download them for free. So all in all, it's going to be very interesting nonetheless. 3 out of 5 5, 7 out of 10 for Raw this week, basically. It's all building into the big July 19th show for SmackDown. It's all building into that, so hopefully it'll all change after July 19th. And with that being said, guys, that is the end of part 2. I'll be back in part 3 with the NXT review, a little quick NXT review. And then I'll be back in part 4 with Raw, with SmackDown and Ring of Honor. And then in part 5 with ICW. And if I have time, I'll do an outro in the final part, and then I'll do a What Culture Top 10. So we'll see how things go. I'll be back right after this with NXT though, so stay tuned.
There's only one wrestling podcast that gives you honest, uncut opinions and the most unique trivia since WWE did The Weakest Link. And the only place you can hear the show-stealing podcast promo every single week.
Covering WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. Max Wrestling Podcast is the place for you. Join myself, Evan Money Michaela, The Phoenix, and The Butcher. Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern time with your host, Danny Dangerously, on VOC Nation and the Swerve Talk Network.
Go to maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling or follow us at maxwrestling UK for more details.
Give in to the madness.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed part 1 there, and hope you enjoyed part 2, which was the Raw review. This is now part 3, and I'm going to talk about NXT. That's right. Not going to talk about it too much, at least try not to anyway, but we'll talk about it briefly because there was only 2 things that happened on NXT this week. One being Samoa Joe coming out, making a statement of intent, if you will, because he was very much focused on what was going to happen later on in the night with Balor and Nakamura, and made in a statement as well that he was the undisputed NXT champion, but he was interrupted by Rhino, who made his crystal clear that he wants the NXT championship, and he came out and said, so you're the guy I have to go through to get to the top, no problem. And although Joe walked away, next week on NXT, it's going to be a one-on-one confrontation between Rhino and Samoa Joe, and should Rhino win, I would imagine he'll be in line for an NXT championship match at some point, so that should be interesting, very much interesting indeed. Now, Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. And basically, this was Finn Balor's going away party, so to speak. Dream match. For the first time ever, they had it on NXT. This had been any other day. This would have probably been on the Brooklyn show in August or somewhere like around about that. But credit to NXT, credit to Triple H, they decided to put it on the NXT show, and it delivered. They went, say, a good 20 minutes to half hour, beating the hell out of one another, kicking each other's heads in, chops, just a great match all around, and it ended with Nakamura getting the victory. Yeah, and like I say, it was Finn Balor's goodbye party, if you will. So Balor's on his way to the main roster, I would guess. Will the rumors be true? Will he turn heel? Will the rumors be true? Will he turn heel? Are the rumors going to be true? Is he going to turn heel? Is he going to turn on everybody and go to the Bullet Club or the Balor Club or the Club or whatever the fuck they're called? It should be interesting, no? Since it was AJ Styles who replaced Finn in the Bullet Club originally. So get them two working together with Anderson and Gallows. That would be very, very intriguing indeed. What's next for Nakamura? I can only say that it will be the NXT champion, Samoa Joe, at some point. Granted, he gets through Rhino's little thing, because I would imagine if Rhino beats Joe next week, and since Nakamura's beaten Balor, I would imagine at some point, should Rhino beat Joe next week, this week, coming week rather, I would imagine it'll be Rhino versus Nakamura, which would be okay with me, for the number 1 contendership. Because, Nakamura's going to state his claim to be the number one contender for the NXT Championship, and I know Rhino probably will, should he beat Joe next week. Or this coming week, which would be good. So, either way, it's a win-win. But, like I say, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, match of the year candidate. It happens to be. And it wasn't bad for the fact that it was on the NXT show, and they had a good amount of time for it, too. A little rumour coming out of NXT, and it's set for Battleground. A little spoiler as well. Because at Battleground, it has now been made that it'll be a tag team match. Dana Brooke, Charlotte against Sasha Banks and a partner of her choosing. Partner of her choosing is rumoured to be Bayley. It's rumoured. We'll find out, I guess, at Battleground. Like I say, you don't believe the rumours. It could be Bayley, it could be this, it could be that. It's a possible spoiler. I guess we'll find out July 24th at Battleground. But it seems Bayley's coming up to the main roster, which is good. Boy, she needs to be there, and she needs to be there right now as well. So, like I say, interesting times for NXT, interesting times for WWE over the coming months as well. And that about wraps this part up for the NXT review. 5 out of 5 for the show, by the way. It was great. Great match all around. Just beautiful. Not bad for a one-match show. Maybe they should do that more often. Next time they do a big match like that, they might want to give it 60 minutes. Try that. Or 45 minutes, whatever. But anyway, that about wraps up for part 3. I'll be back in part 4 with SmackDown and Ring of Honor. Then I'll be back in part 5 for ICW. I will review ICW from, I believe, July the 1st, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, it was the last one. It was the one after that. It was the one after that because Dallas and Red Lightning signed the contract for July 31st's pay-per-view, which is Shug's Hoose Party. So I'll be back in part 5 with that. And then in final part, I'll do an outro, promos, and I'll do a top 10 from Wall Culture if I have time. So with that being said, stay tuned. There's plenty more to come. See you in a bit.
If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 4 of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you guys are well in whatever it is you are doing. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. Now we get to Ring of Honor and SmackDown. I'll start with Ring of Honor. Jason Kincaid had a one-on-one match to kick off Ring of Honor with Donovan Dijak. He put up a hell of a match, but Dijak manages to use his power and hit him with his finishing move to get the victory. But hey, credit to the kid, Jason Kincaid. He is a sensation. He will be the future of Ring of Honor. He'll be a major player in the future. He was in the, I believe he was in the prospect tournament. And one thing leads to another. He gets his opportunity out because obviously he made an impact. Otherwise he wouldn't have got his opportunity. So credit to him. He put up a hell of a fight, but Donovan Dijak, too much experience. He's a winner of the prospect tournament himself, if I remember correctly, and got the victory in what was a great match. Now, Silas Young and the Bay City Bruiser. Now, I had a bit of a beef with this, with Michael Larkin, about how the hell did these two get a tag team title shot. Obviously, it was something that we missed because they ended up winning the Tag Wars tournament that Ring of Honor had to get this shot against the Addiction. The Addiction manages to retain. Young and Bruiser didn't have caused the Addiction some problems. They proved why they were a tag team, and they nearly got the victory. I'll give them credit. They nearly got the win, but Addiction, Daniels, wins with BMA after a mistake. One of a few mistakes, actually. I believe the mistake was he missed the frog splash, if I remember correctly, and gets the win to retain. That was the Bay City Bruiser missing the frog splash, just to clear that up. Also, the main event of the show was a number 1 contenders match. Bobby Fish came out with the Fish Tank, setting up this match between ACH and Mark Briscoe, even though it was advertised as the main event. Both men wanted to win the television title. Mark had a dream of winning the TV title. ACH wanted to start his legacy, and he said the only way he could do that was win the TV championship. Both these two had an awesome match, but Mark Briscoe gets first crack. That's right. At Death Before Dishonor, it's going to be Mark Briscoe challenging Bobby Fish for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. That's a match I'm looking forward to, if I'm being honest with you. If I'm going to watch it, I might watch Death Before Dishonor, and that's a match I'm interested in seeing, quite frankly, because I think it'll be a good match. And Mark, like I say, gets the title shot, so Jay's going for the world title, Mark goes for the TV title as well. So that should be interesting, very interesting indeed. But a great show from Ring of Honor nonetheless, and in a couple of weeks it'll be Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby's tag team partner, going for the world title against Jay Lethal. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's go to SmackDown. SmackDown. the penultimate show before the draft. I would say the last show before the draft, because the draft is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, which should be very interesting indeed. The results were Dolph Ziggler beats Rusev, Sasha Banks beats Dana Brooke, Styles and Carl Anderson beat Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Kalisto beats Tyler Breeze, Miz TV had special guests Darren Young and Bob Backlund, and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens defeat Sami Zayn and Dean Ambrose in a tag team main event. Sasha Banks and Dana Brooke. Sasha beats Dana Brooke, which I told you earlier on, the rumors. It could be Bayley, her tag team partner, but all of this set up a tag match between the two. It's going to be a tag team match, apparently a Battleground. It's already been made. Huge women's division tag team match made for Battleground. It's going to be Sasha Banks and a mystery partner, Dana Brooke, versus Dana Brooke and Charlotte, the women's champion. And the rumor is it's Bayley. That's just a rumor. We'll find out at Battle. Dolph Ziggler beats Rusev, setting up a six-man tag. Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson and AJ Styles defeat Enzo and Big Cass. All setting up, and Luke Gallows was at ringside, so that was an even match itself. Kalisto beats Tyler Breeze. Miz TV with special guest Darren Young. I still can't believe Darren Young's got a title shot. And Seth beats Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose, all leading into the upcoming draft this week. Also on Monday Night Raw as well, it's going to be Dean Ambrose one-on-one with Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. So that should be interesting as well. Very interesting, busy week. All leading into Battleground July 24th, which I will be watching, and I will be doing a podcast review right after the show. Hopefully I can get that up in time. If not, I'll get that up the next day, all being well. But all in all, guys, a very, very interesting week indeed coming for the WWE in general. So that about wraps it up for part 4, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that. Part 5 will be ICW. Part 6 will be an outro, and depending on time, it will be a What Culture Top 10. Top 10 biggest opportunistic wrestlers. I'll give you the better title of that, but it's about opportunistic people who've been opportunistic in their careers. So stay tuned for that. All of that will be right after this. See ya. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters for my exclusive review series that I'm doing on WCPW, What Culture Pro Wrestling, brought to you by the good folks at whatculture.com. Each and every week I'll be reviewing their shows, whether it's Loaded or their big upcoming shows as well, each and every week on their YouTube channel. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel for review shows each and every week. You can also download them for free on SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, part 5. This is ICW. That's right, ICW, Friday Night Fight Club, taken from July 1st. Now, I mentioned this on the podcast I did with Raging Falcon, but since I've got nothing else to do, I'll review it. The matches were Joe Coffey versus Joe Hendry, Sumerian Death Squad against Bird and Ball in the tag team title tournament, DCT versus Reese, and Big Damo and Grado for the world title. Now, Joe Coffey and Joe Hendry had a hell of a match. At one point, this was supposed to be the match. The winner of this match gets a shot at Kurt Angle, gets Kurt Angle at Fear and Loathing 9. It didn't pan out that way, unfortunately, thanks to Red Lightning. But good, hard-hitting wrestling, good wrestling, technical wrestling as well, which saw Joe Coffey get the victory. Sumerian Death Squad had a bit of a bumpy ride, quite frankly, because thanks to Trent Severin, they managed to lose against Bird and Ball, which saw Bird and Ball continue on in the tag team tournament. There's some beef between Sumerian Death Squad, Mikey Whiplash, and Ted Severin. Basically, Legion versus Trent Severin, quite frankly, so that should be an interesting one. DCT had a backstage promo talking about his match and won his match, but he's warming up for Bram at Shug's host party, July 31st, which should be a dandy. And Big Damo and Grado went one-on-one, and Damo got the victory in what was a great match, don't get me wrong, but the frustration showed in for Grado after the match, and it's on the ICW YouTube channel as well, because on the YouTube channel he was a little pissed off at Dallas because he was getting sick and tired of getting his balls busted. He was trying to be a Mark Dallas guy, it wasn't working out for him. But Dallas showed his colours and recruited him to be the tag team partner at Shug's house party, and Shug's host party, it will be Noam Dar, Grado versus Drew Galloway and Jack Jester for 50-50 control. So that should be very interesting as well. And it was also announced during the little thing between Red Lightning and Mark Dallas in the segment. Mark outsmarted Red Lightning because of what Joe Coffey and Joe Henry match not going to be for the Kurt Angle match. He goated Red into signing a contract which allowed the winner of the match between Joe Coffey and Big Damo for the ICW World Heavyweight Championship at Shug's host party. The winner will go to Fear and Loathing 9 and face Kurt Angle. So basically the main event has been set for Fear and Loathing 9. It'll be Kurt Angle one-on-one with Big Damo. Will it be for the ICW title? A lot can happen between now and November. So we shall see. But it's done deal. Big Damo one-on-one. Big Damo or Joe Coffey will go up against Kurt Angle at Fear and Loathing 9. All of this ICW on-demand service as well, because the Fear and Loathing pay-per-view, the Fear and Loathing show and the Shug's host party show will be on iPay-per-view, internet pay-per-view. So if you can get it, get them. I recommend you get them. If you can't, get yourself over to ICW on-demand service and subscribe there, because you'll be able to get them on there as well. Probably not as best probably would be for the on-demand service or the pay-per-view, but we'll see. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. Fact of the matter is, you'll get the Shug's host party show and Fear and Loathing on iPay-per-view, and if you can't get them on iPay-per-view, get yourself over to the ICW on-demand service. There's a few other things up there as well. I mentioned earlier on that 100% Shenanigans from December 1st, 2013 is up there. The full show is up there, which sees the return of Jackie Polo and the man who clouted Lionheart after his match with Kenny Williams. That video clip is on the ICW YouTube channel. Also, as well, like I said, the shoot interview featuring Mr. Anderson is also up there as well, so be sure to check that out. And like I say, guys, he shoots. He doesn't hold nothing back. He tells it as it is. His time in TNA, aces and eights, WWE stuff. He answers the questions from the crowd as well, like a little Q&A, and all sorts of stuff as well. There's another one up there as well that I recommend you go and check out as well, which is the ICW Greatest of the Women's Division, the Greatest of the Women's Division Volume 1, all the Women's Division matches, including a match that involved the woman Jack Jester and Jimmy Havoc in a three-way. And I think that match, if I'm not mistaken, might be on the YouTube channel or one of the internet shows they used to do. Be sure, get yourself over there as well. And you can also check out the profile with Carmel Jacob, GPWA as well, Asylum, the Night of the Asylum as well, which is, I think it's their shows that they do, like an NXT show or a developmental show. That's right, there you go. It's taking place at the Asylum, the ICW Asylum. The commentators are Chris Renfrew and Billy Kirkwood, so that's where Renfrew gone, because he's also being kayfabed out, kayfabe kicked out of ICW, fired by Red Lightning, and be sure you can get all that stuff, you can check it all out, plus the shoot interview with Billy Gunn, Total Recall, the match with Kenny Williams and Joe Henry for the Zero-G title. You can check out other things as well, like Friday Night Fight Club in Italy as well. There's a lot of stuff. This is why you should be, if you're not subscribed to the ICW On Demand service, then you are truly, well and truly missing out, man, for real. Absolutely missing out. All the shows as well, Rocky Show, Pin Pals. It's just a big stereo hanging from a tree in Dublin, which is the night, I believe. Is that the night? No, it's not the night. That's Big Elbow, which is the night Damo won the world title in Belfast. Whatever happened to the ICW lads in Liverpool, ICW podcast episodes as well with Mikey Whiplash and Damo. The list goes on and on, guys. It is just a good on-demand service for the price that it is. Check your prices, check that you can get it. It is monthly and it is worth the price, guys. Just go and check it out and get yourself on there and subscribe, and you can get all the content that you get on there for the price that you're paying for a month. It is really, really good indeed. Right, guys, I'm going to end part 5 here. I'll be back in the final part with an outro, a few promos, and top 10 opportunistic wrestlers from WWE, WhatCulture.com as well. So I'll throw that in, and then that'll be the end of the podcast. So stay tuned for the main event, which is next. See you in a bit.
If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
What's up, everybody? This is Johnny Ferrari in Las Vegas, and you're listening to the Swerve Talk Network featuring Max Wrestling, Sunday Seg, Offshoot Radio, and more at the Swerve Talk Network on Twitter for more information. Woohoo!
Welcome yourselves back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Final part, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. I will outro this and then I'll end it with the top 10 biggest ultimate opportunists in WWE history according to What Culture. But before that, I will get to the promotions. Be sure to check out the Swerve Talk Network, Max Wrestling, Sunday Segway, Offshoot Radio, and Evan McCabe, all on the Swerve Talk Network for your listening pleasure. Each and every weekend, Saturday through Monday, I know because I'm always last on Mondays. Be sure to check all of that out. Also, check out Mystery Island. Like I said, guys, August 4th is Monster on the Island. Abyss is coming. August 15th is Will Ospreay. Get yourself over there. 56 to 58 Birkenhead in Liverpool. For more information, go to facebook.com/Back to the Island. Also, check out the Wrestling Matters channel and SoundCloud as well. SoundCloud.com/Wrestling Matters. Wrestling_Matters_podcast. Check them all out for all the podcasts. Download all the podcasts free on SoundCloud. Also, check out my two new shows as well. CWC Review and WCPW Review as well. Be sure to check all of that out each and every week. Also, check out the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday on the Wrestling Matters channel and other podcasts as well. Spreaker, Swerve Talk Network, and SoundCloud as well. Download it for free on SoundCloud. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. It is now time for the 10 greatest or biggest ultimate opportunists in WWE history. And number 10 was Jack Swagger. Now, this guy was an opportunist. He won Money in the Bank and saw the opportunity. I believe Edge came out and battered Chris Jericho after their match at WrestleMania. And hey, Jack Swagger saw the opportunity, came down, clouted Edge with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and took his moment and became the World Heavyweight Champion by beating Chris Jericho and cashing in on Jericho too. It's just a shame of what he's become now, to be honest. But hey, yes, Jack Swagger was a former World Heavyweight Champion. Number 9 was Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, he cashed in on Alberto Del Rio after a 1-year run of holding the briefcase. He finally cashed it in on Alberto. I believe it was after WrestleMania at some point. But he cashed it in anyway. It was that Monday Night Raw where people blew the roof off the minute he cashed it in, and he won the World Heavyweight Championship. An injury, however, cost him that world title, because I believe it was the moment where he got kicked in the head, squarely in the head, and caused a concussion from Jack Swagger. But lo and behold, it was the Raw after WrestleMania. He won the World Championship. Number 8 was Dean Ambrose. He damn sure done it, and it was this year, actually. He won the Money in the Bank by beating Jericho, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Alberto Del Rio, and Sami Zayn. And then the shocking moment happened this year. Seth Rollins wins the World Championship from Roman Reigns. Ambrose comes down, clocks Rollins right in the face with the Money in the Bank briefcase, finally gets what he deserves, a World Championship run. Should have happened a long time ago, like I say, but hey, it happened, and that's what counts. Number 7 was CM Punk, 2-time winner of the Money in the Bank briefcase, but the second time he won it, he wasn't meant to win it, for what I got told, because the second time he won it, that was meant for Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy was booked to win Money in the Bank. However, that didn't happen though due to the drug problems that Mr. Hardy went through, which only escalated when he went to TNA. You know, Victory Road anyone against Sting when he came out high as a kite. All in all, the first run he had with it, when he won the World Championship from Edge after cashing it in, he got royally screwed out of it by Legacy and that, but it was mainly by the booking of WWE. Second time he won it, he helped. It was basically the run he had and the championship match he had, where he ended up having, just, you know, when he ended up getting rid of Jeff Hardy, and then Jeff Hardy ended up leaving for TNA. I mean, you wonder why he cut that promo when he did. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, go and watch his DVD, the CM Punk DVD. It explains it all on that DVD to perfection. Anyway, number 6, ladies and gents, was Batista. Ultimate Opportunist. He cashed in on, I believe, if I remember correctly, actually, I don't think it was about any Money in the Bank cashing in, because it was all about the match that he had with there was the chance. The match he had at WrestleMania 21 with Triple H, where he eventually saw the opportunity to take that world title at WrestleMania 21 after turning on him and powerbombing him through a table. And then it was after that as well, he became WWE champion, but then he came back, he saw the opportunity and ended up winning the Royal Rumble when he had no business to, but, he never really got his just due when he eventually came back. Basically, he should stay away. But it was all about, Batista could be considered an ultimate opportunist. I would have put him at number 10, though. Number 5 was the Ultimate Warrior. Now, he was a definitely ultimate opportunist, because this goes back to SummerSlam 1989. After a 2-year run with the Intercontinental Championship, Honky Tonk Man was scheduled to defend the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. He beat everybody up until that point. SummerSlam 88, I believe it was. He was scheduled to face Brutus Beefcake, but Beefcake had an injury, which opened the door for one other guy. That's right, the Warrior. The Warrior came out, beat him in record time, and began his run to the top with his first run for the Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, he lost it at WrestleMania 5, got it back at 89, and then all of that led to what happened with the one and only title for title match at WrestleMania 6. Less said about the rematch, the better. Seth Rollins is is next on the list, and the biggest ultimate opportunist of them all. I think this guy should be number 2, quite frankly, but he's not. This guy cashed it in on WrestleMania. That's right, WrestleMania 31. The match was Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Roman did show a good showing in the match, but then the Ultimate Opportunist was there. It became a triple threat match because Rollins came running down faster than a Zack Ryder title reign and became the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion, hitting him with the curve stomp. That's hitting Roman Reigns with a curve stomp and stealing his moment. All of that led to what happened on Raw, but all of that led to the run that Rollins eventually had with the title. Next one is Edge. This guy had more opportunistic ways, to say the least. I mean, he was the first person to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He was the first person to win it. Cashed it in on John Cena at New Year's Revolution, which made him a transitional champion, quite frankly, because he ended up losing it at Royal Rumble. He also cashed it in on The Undertaker on a Smackdown show at one point after taking it from Mr. Kennedy. And he had the audacity to align himself with Vicky Guerrero. I could go on and on and on, man. I mean, how this guy's, I don't know if this guy is number 1, quite frankly, but how this guy's not number 1 is just amazing to me. But I could probably understand why he is not number 1 or above, because Hulk Hogan is next on the list, and you want to talk about opportunists? This guy's had more opportunities than you could shake a stick at. He was the top heel for Vince McMahon Sr. at one point, but then he got fired because he wanted to do Rocky, and he did do Rocky, which was the biggest beneficial of his career. And then he eventually came back to Vince McMahon Jr., and the shit took off. From there, he had a 4-year run with a world title, I believe. Somewhere around about that. It was a long run, I know that. Made a ton of money. Had movies, Suburban Commando, and the list goes on and on. Had that title for title match at WrestleMania 6. And hell, he even left and went to WCW. And if you thought he was bad in WWE, you should have seen what happened to him in WCW. He had this clause in his contract where you could play his creative control card in his contract, which allowed him to have creative control over his character. You know, I mean, who does that? I think Hogan's probably the only person who had that in his contract, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. But he is the second biggest opportunist, because the number 1 ultimate opportunist was Triple H. And this guy did everything. Shawn had his back break. You know, he had his back injury in 98. What did he do? He grabbed DX and took off with it. And hell, he did the ultimate opportunist of them all. Yeah, some people say that if it wasn't for him marrying Stephanie McMahon, he wouldn't be where he is today. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But he's had all the opportunities he's had. You know, he took over the reins in 2000 when he became champion. He married Stephanie McMahon after drugging her. This is storyline-wise, by the way. After drugging her in the car on the way to Las Vegas drive-in wedding. Bischoff gave him the world title after he was rightfully the number one contender for the Undisputed title, but the Undisputed title ended up going to SmackDown. So I didn't have an issue with that, quite frankly. But yeah, he's had more World Championship runs. He's been at more WrestleManias. He's had feuds with CM Punk, and the list goes on and on. I mean, where do I begin with that guy? I could be here all friggin' day, but this is, you know, I could turn this into a friggin' 3-hour show talking about Triple H. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. So that is about wraps it up for that countdown. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to check that out as well. And that about wraps it up for the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll be back next week with episode 121. And until then, guys, Wrestling Matters, check it out. Check out the Wrestling Matters channel on SoundCloud for the WCPW shows and the CWC shows, the Cruiserweight Classic this week. And until next time, guys, I'm out. Peace.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to episode 120 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. This is Anthony Walker, just here to give you something a little bit extra to add to the show that I couldn't add while I was recording the show, so I'm going to give it to you now. It appears that Brock Lesnar has been flagged for anti-doping violation. I don't know the full story behind this or what's going down, but yeah, and apparently this happened either prior or while the match with the UFC. Now, I don't know what this leads into what WWE are doing or what WWE plan to do with him, but if this probably happened, or if this was flagged up before the actual show, the actual UFC show, I think he'd have been out the show, because they did it with John Jones, they've done it with and Brock Lesnar seems to be in there as well. I don't know what the hell the full story is. I don't know what the hell is going on with this at the moment. All I know is he has been flagged for an anti-doping violation. What would this affect, or what effect will this have on him coming back to WWE? He's due back tomorrow, in fact, at the SmackDown taping. That's when he's scheduled to return, and he's got a match at SummerSlam against Randy Orton. So what will this affect? What will the ramifications be for this? Will this affect his WWE status and what's going to go down at SummerSlam? I don't know. I don't know the full story. Anything can happen. I just thought I'd let you know, and I promise you guys next week on episode 121 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, I will bring it to you what happens if I get any news. I promise you that. Until next time, guys, peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up. Yes, 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 yes. That's 13-14.
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.